In Boston's autumn, golden leaves rustled down the suburban streets of Newton. In Eloise's warm home, golden lamplight glowed over a dinner table laden with apple pie and wine. Eloise, 48, an art gallery manager, beamed beside Silas, 28, a graphic designer with a captivating smile. They met through a dating app, and tonight, Eloise wanted to introduce him to her daughter, Thea, at a small family gathering. The atmosphere was cozy, but when Thea walked in, everything erupted. Thea, 24, a recent graduate, arrived with her boyfriend Jasper, an arrogant guy. Seeing Silas, she froze. "Mom, this is your boyfriend?" "Silas." Her voice sharp. Eloise, surprised, asked, "How do you know his name?" Thea pointed at Silas. "Because he dated me 2 years ago." The room fell silent. Jasper smirked, whispering to Thea, "He looks like a gold digger." Silas tried to stay calm. "Thea, I didn't know you were Eloise's daughter. It was just a few dates through the app." But Thea wasn't listening. Glancing at Silas's phone left on the table, she saw a message from someone named Amos. "Still need quick cash? Old job's still there." Her eyes darkened, suspecting Silas hid secrets. "Mom, he's not sincere," she warned, her voice trembling. Eloise, confused, turned to Silas. "What's this about?" Jasper cut in, mocking. "Ask him if he's using you, Eloise." Silas looked at Eloise, his eyes pained. "Eloise, I'll explain, but not now." Thea grabbed her mom's hand, determined to protect her from someone she believed was a fraud. The golden light dimmed, the air stifling. What secrets hid behind Silas's facade? Would Eloise have enough faith to stand by him, or would Thea expose the truth? The dinner in the Newton suburban home sank into heavy silence after Thea's accusation. The golden lamplight flickered on the wineglasses, now awkwardly held by uneasy guests. Eloise, standing in the middle of the room, felt her heart constrict. Her eyes shifted from Thea, her daughter trembling with anger, to Silas, her young lover with a rigid face. The air was suffocating, as if Boston's autumn outside held its breath. Thea, eyes icy, stepped closer to Silas, her voice low but sharp. "You think I don't know who you are? A guy who preys on people, right?" Silas, hands in pockets, kept his voice steady. "Thea, you're misunderstanding. I never meant to hide that I met you. I just didn't expect you to be Eloise's daughter." His explanation only fueled her anger. Thea turned to her mom, eyes almost pleading. "Mom, he's not here by chance. I saw a message on his phone from some guy named Amos, mentioning an old job. What do you think that is?" Eloise felt her face flush, not from anger but confusion. She looked at Silas, hoping for a clear explanation. "Silas, what's that message about? I deserve to know, don't I?" Her voice shook, laced with hurt and doubt. Silas opened his mouth, but before he could speak, Jasper, Thea's boyfriend, jumped in with a mocking smile. "Oh, probably his super-clean graphic design work, right? Or something dirtier." He winked at Thea, as if egging her to escalate the drama. The room began to buzz. A few of Eloise's friends, there to celebrate her new relationship, now whispered, eyes glued to Silas. He took a deep breath, trying to stay composed. "Eloise, that message isn't what Thea thinks. Amos is an old acquaintance, but I'm not involved in that anymore." He paused, his eyes earnest. "I've changed, long ago." Thea scoffed derisively. "Changed? Mom, don't you see he's acting? A guy like this, a decade younger than you, what's he here for if not money?" Her words cut like a knife, making Eloise step back, gripping the table's edge. "Thea, enough," Eloise said, her voice firm but eyes betraying hurt. "You don't get to talk about me like that." Jasper, seizing the moment, patted Thea's shoulder. "She's just protecting you, Eloise. This guy's clearly trouble. Who sends messages like that?" He turned to Silas, voice taunting. "So, you gonna tell us about that old job? Or should I guess?" Silas clenched his fists but didn't respond, only looking at Eloise, as if begging her to trust him. Eloise, caught between doubt and love, felt her mind spin. She recalled moments with Silas, evening walks along the Charles River, nights he meticulously revised designs until late, and the way he looked at her like she was his world. But that message, and his past with Thea, couldn't be ignored. "Silas," she said, almost whispering, "if you're hiding something, tell me now." Silas opened his mouth, but Thea cut him off. "Mom, don't let him fool you again. I'll find out who he really is." She turned to Jasper, eyes resolute. "Help me dig into this guy, okay?" Jasper nodded, his smug smile clear. "Easy. I know ways to unearth a guy like that's past." Silas shook his head, eyes pained. "Eloise, I'll tell you everything, but not here, not like this." He walked out, leaving the room in whispers. Thea grabbed her mom's hand, but Eloise gently pulled away, her gaze distant. "You don't understand, Thea. Some things aren't as simple as you think." She turned away, leaving Thea and Jasper amid the guests' curious stares. Outside, the cold autumn wind swept golden leaves across the street. Silas stood alone, looking at the darkening sky, knowing his past secrets threatened to destroy everything. Meanwhile, Thea, in the now quiet room, opened her phone, searching Silas's name on social media, determined to uncover his true self. What was Silas's secret? And could Eloise trust her love when everything was crumbling? Thea sat in a corner of a downtown Boston cafe, autumn light streaming through the window onto her laptop screen. The scent of roasted coffee mingled with the crisp air, but her mind was fixed on one goal: exposing Silas. After the chaos at her mom's dinner, the image of Amos's message about an old job haunted her. She clicked through social media, searching Silas's name on every platform. Each keystroke felt like a jab at the trust her mom, Eloise, placed in that young man. Jasper, sitting across, sipped a latte, eyes on his phone. "Find anything yet?" he asked, his tone casual but tinged with amusement. Thea frowned, not answering. She just found an old post on a shady forum mentioning Silas with the phrase, "Special Services," in Chicago. Her heart raced. "Got it," she whispered, opening an archived website listing Silas as a professional companion. She screenshotted it, sending it to Jasper. "He was an escort. I knew it." Jasper raised an eyebrow, smirking. "Quite the player. You gonna show this to your mom?" Thea shook her head, eyes tinged with sadness. "I don't want to hurt her more. But I need solid proof to show he's using her." She recalled her mom looking at Silas, eyes full of love but laced with doubt. Eloise had sacrificed so much, a broken marriage, years buried in work to raise her. Thea couldn't let her get hurt again. She texted Sarah, Eloise's best friend, the only one not quick to judge Silas. "Aunt Sarah, what do you know about Silas's past? I found some weird stuff." Sarah replied fast, her text carrying her usual humor. "Thea, chill. Silas isn't the villain you think. Sit down with your mom, stop playing detective." But Thea brushed it off. Sarah didn't get it. No one understood her unease, seeing her mom grow distant, as if Silas was taking her place in Eloise's heart. Back at her laptop, Thea dug deeper, finding an old Chicago article about a minor lawsuit involving a group of companions. Silas's name appeared briefly, not charged, but enough to convince her he had a dark past. She noted every detail, determined to confront him. But a memory hit her, pausing her. As a kid, after her parents' divorce, Eloise had held her, crying, promising no one would hurt them again. Was she protecting her mom, or just letting her own fears take over? Jasper interrupted her thoughts. "Don't go soft. That guy's definitely using your mom. You saw Amos's message, right? He's still tied to those shady deals." His tone dripped with contempt, but this time, Thea felt annoyed. Jasper always pushed her doubts, but he never really listened. "Stop it," she snapped. "I know what I'm doing." Jasper shrugged, returning to his phone, leaving Thea feeling alone in the crowded cafe. She texted a friend in Chicago, asking for more on Silas. While waiting, she opened a family photo on her phone, her and Eloise at Boston Common, smiling under autumn sunlight. Her heart ached. "Mom deserves happiness," she murmured, but another voice in her head countered, "What if Silas is lying to her?" She couldn't let her mom be blindsided. Her phone buzzed. Her Chicago friend sent a file, an old record confirming Silas worked as an escort to pay his dad's cancer hospital bills. But it also showed he left that life 3 years ago, moving to graphic design. Thea frowned. Did this mean Silas had changed? Or was it just a new facade? She decided to confront him directly, but not in front of her mom. She needed time and more evidence. Meanwhile, at Eloise's art gallery, she stood before an abstract painting, her mind a mess. Silas had texted an apology, promising to explain everything, but she wasn't ready to see him. She remembered times with Silas, patiently listening to her work stresses, bringing coffee so she wouldn't work alone late at night. Was that all a lie? Or was she letting Thea's doubts cloud her heart? Outside, the autumn wind swirled golden leaves through Boston streets. Thea closed her laptop, standing with resolve. She'd find the truth, even if it broke her mom's heart, or her own. Jasper followed, but the gap between them grew, as if he was pushing her into a fight she wasn't sure she wanted to win. Under the pale golden sunlight of a Boston autumn afternoon, Eloise's backyard glowed with twinkling string lights and the savory aroma of grilled meat. This barbecue was Eloise's idea, an attempt to ease tensions after last week's stormy family dinner. The outdoor wooden table brimmed with burgers, potato salad, and craft beers, but the mood among the guests was heavy, like storm clouds rolling in. Eloise, in a deep green sweater, moved through the crowd, forcing smiles as she shook hands with friends and colleagues from the art gallery. But her eyes kept darting to Silas, quietly flipping burgers at the grill, his face tinged with sadness. Thea, near the drink table, gripped her lemonade tightly. She'd prepared for this moment, with screenshots of old websites about Silas's escort past. She didn't want to hurt her mom, but her trust in Silas was shattered. Jasper, sipping a beer beside her, murmured, "You gonna pull out that evidence in front of everyone?" Thea nodded, eyes resolute. "Mom needs the truth. I can't let him keep fooling her." Eloise, sensing her daughter's tension, approached, placing a hand on Thea's shoulder. "You okay? I want everyone to have fun today." Her voice was gentle, but Thea only pursed her lips, eyes avoiding her mom's. Before she could reply, a strange voice called from the gate. "Silas! Long time no see." All eyes turned to a tall man with messy hair in a worn leather jacket. It was Amos, the one who texted Silas. He strode in, a sly grin on his face, as if he knew he was stirring a storm. Silas froze, the grilling tongs dropping to the ground. "Amos, what are you doing here?" His voice hoarse, laced with worry. Amos shrugged. "Casual. Heard you were throwing a big party. Why no invite for an old friend?" He turned to the crowd, eyes landing on Eloise. "You're Silas's new girlfriend, right? Heard about his old job yet?" His words were a bomb, sparking whispers, some guests covering their mouths in shock. Thea couldn't hold back. She stepped forward, holding up her phone, its screen showing Silas's old profile. "Mom, look at this." He was an escort in Chicago, servicing rich people. This Amos guy was his old colleague. Her voice cut through the yard, sharp and loud. The crowd went silent, only the sizzle of the grill audible. Eloise stared at the screen, her face pale. "Thea, where did you get this?" she asked, her voice breaking. Silas stepped forward, eyes pained but steady. "Eloise, I don't deny it. I did that work to pay for my dad's hospital bills. I left it 3 years ago, before I met you." He turned to Amos, voice firm. "And you, Amos, if you're here to blackmail me, stop it." Amos laughed, mocking. "Blackmail? I just want her to know the truth about her perfect boyfriend." He pulled a stack of old photos from his pocket, tossing them on the table, pictures of Silas in sharp suits, standing with unfamiliar women. Eloise stepped back, hands trembling as she picked up a photo. "Silas, is this real?" Her voice cracked, as if her world was collapsing. The crowd's whispers grew louder, some guests slipping away, uneasy with the drama. Jasper, beside Thea, sneered. "Told you, he's trash." But Thea, seeing her mom's desperate eyes, felt a pang of pain. She wanted to protect her, but Eloise's despair made her wonder if she'd gone too far. "Eloise, listen," Silas said, voice urgent. "I love you. What I did before doesn't define me now. I've changed for me, for my dad, and for you." But Eloise shook her head, tears streaming. "I need time, Silas. I don't know what to believe. She turned, walking into the house, leaving Silas alone in the yard. Thea ran after her, but Eloise held up a hand. Are you happy now, Thea? She asked, voice choked. You think hurting me like this is protecting me? Thea opened her mouth but couldn't speak. She looked back at the yard, seeing Silas gather his things, eyes empty. Amos, still there, smirked, pleased with the chaos he'd caused. Jasper patted Thea's shoulder. You did the right thing. He's not worthy of your mom. But this time, Thea pushed his hand away, regret rising. She began to wonder if she was destroying her mom's happiness or just chasing her own insecurities. Guests trickled out, leaving the yard quiet, only the string lights twinkling in the autumn breeze. Silas stood by the fence, gazing at the house where Eloise sat alone in the living room, clutching an old family photo. Thea, at the threshold, felt her heart heavy. She'd wanted to protect her mom, but now she saw only brokenness. Amos vanished into the dark, leaving a lingering question. Who was Silas really? And would the truth be enough to save Eloise's love, or destroy it all? Meanwhile, in a corner of the yard, Sarah, Eloise's best friend, quietly picked up Amos's photos, her expression pensive. She knew something about Silas that Thea hadn't uncovered, but would she intervene before things went too far? The autumn wind blew, carrying the scent of grill smoke and unfinished whispers, signaling an emotional storm on the horizon. Late afternoon in Boston, the golden sunset bathed Boston Common, where autumn leaves drifted along the paths. Thea sat on a wooden bench, clutching a cold coffee, her mind reeling after the barbecue chaos. The image of her mom, Eloise, with red eyes and a broken voice, haunted her. She'd wanted to protect her, but now she saw only the damage she'd caused. Her phone buzzed with a text from Sarah, Eloise's best friend. Meet me at the pub on Beacon Street, 7 p.m. There's something about Silas you need to know. Thea sighed, unsure if she wanted more revelations, but she stood, stepping into the chilly autumn wind. At the small pub, dim lights glowed on red brick walls. Sarah sat in a corner, sipping wine, her face serious yet with her usual hint of humor. You made your mom cry, Thea, she began. No nonsense. Thea looked down, fingers twisting her glass. I just wanted to keep her from getting hurt. Silas, his past isn't clean. Sarah raised an eyebrow, sliding a photo across the table. Silas at a flower shop, picking red carnations, Eloise's favorite. You see any escort planning a proposal with that much heart? Sarah asked, her voice light but pointed. Thea stared, stunned. Proposal? You sure? Sarah nodded, recounting how she'd seen Silas at the shop last week, secretly picking a ring and asking the staff about planning a romantic evening by the Charles River. He loves your mom, Thea. For real. You've been digging into his past, but have you asked Silas why he did those things? Thea shook her head, regret rising like a tide. Meanwhile, at another cafe a few blocks away, Silas sat across from Thea at her request. His eyes were tired but honest. Thea, I know you hate me, but I need you to understand. He spoke of his dad, dying of cancer, and how he, a 22-year-old from Chicago's slums, worked as an escort to pay hospital bills. I'm not proud of it, Silas said, voice low. But it was the only way to let my dad pass without pain. I quit 3 years ago, when I got my design job. He paused, looking straight at Thea. Amos is from that past. He's trying to blackmail me, but I refused. Thea sat silent, Silas's words hitting her hard. She recalled Amos's message, but now it felt like a threat, not evidence. Why didn't you tell Mom from the start? She asked, softer. Silas gave a sad smile. I was afraid she'd turn away. You've seen how Eloise looks at me? Like I'm why she smiles again. I didn't want to lose that. Back at the pub, Sarah added that she'd checked on Amos through a Chicago contact. He'd worked with Silas but now lived off extorting people like him, those rebuilding their lives. Silas isn't a con, Thea. He's just someone who did what he had to survive. Sarah took Thea's hand. You love your mom, but you're pushing her away. Give Silas a chance. Thea left the pub, her mind spinning. She walked along Beacon Street, the autumn wind tousling her hair. A memory flashed. At 12, Eloise comforting her after a nightmare, singing until she slept. Her mom had sacrificed everything, But now Thea wondered if she was ruining her mom's chance at happiness out of her own fear. She texted Jasper, who kept mocking Silas. "We need to talk," she wrote, resolved to confront him. Meeting Jasper at a nearby park, Thea was blunt. "You keep pushing me against Silas, but you don't really care about me, do you?" Jasper shrugged. "Curt, I just said what you wanted to hear." His words were the last straw. Thea walked away, ending things with Jasper, feeling both relief and pain. Meanwhile, at the art gallery, Eloise stood before a watercolor painting, her thoughts adrift. Silas's text glowed on her phone, "I'll wait for you, no matter how long." She touched the screen, fingers trembling. Sarah stepped in, resting a hand on her shoulder. "He's not perfect, Eloise, but his love is real. Don't let the past steal your future." Eloise nodded, tears falling. She knew she needed to face Silas, but first, she needed to talk to Thea. Thea returned home, standing before her mom's door, taking a deep breath. She knocked, heart heavy with what she'd learned. Silas wasn't a fraud, but she'd pushed things too far. Would her mom forgive her? And Silas, somewhere in the city, would he still fight for his love? The autumn wind blew through the window, carrying the scent of dry leaves, a reminder that truth, though painful, was the first step to healing. Under Boston's dim streetlights, Thea stood before her mom's Newton home, her breath mingling with the cold autumn air. Sarah and Silas's words echoed, making her realize her fear and doubt had blinded her. She knocked, heart pounding, unsure how Eloise would react after the BBQ's wounds. The door opened, Eloise standing there in a gray sweater, eyes still bearing traces of tears. "Thea," she said, voice low, not angry but weary. "What do you want?" Thea took a deep breath, words spilling like pent-up water. "Mom, I was wrong. I thought I was protecting you, but I made everything worse." She shared what Sarah and Silas had told her, about Silas's dad, his struggles in Chicago, and the proposal she'd nearly ruined. Eloise listened, her face softening, but still guarded. "You know how much I've sacrificed," Thea continued, voice breaking. "I was scared of losing you, scared you'd choose Silas and forget me. But I was wrong to push you into pain." Eloise stepped forward, placing a hand on Thea's shoulder, her eyes blending love and pain. "Thea, I've never forgotten you. But I also need to live, to love. Do you think I don't deserve that?" Her words stung, making Thea lower her head, tears falling. "I just wanted you safe," she whispered. Eloise hugged her, the first time in weeks, and they stood in the quiet hallway, rediscovering a piece of each other. At the same time, across the city, Silas sat in his small apartment, laptop light illuminating his face. Before him was Amos, arriving unannounced, his smile sinister. "Think you can escape your past that easily?" Amos taunted, holding a USB with old photos. "Pay me, or I send these to your girlfriend." Silas stood, eyes firm. "I'm not the guy you knew, Amos. I've rebuilt my life, and I won't let you ruin it." He called Miles, his brother, living in Boston's suburbs. Miles, a quiet engineer, had seen Silas struggle to leave his past. "I need your help," Silas said, resolute. Miles arrived quickly, bringing a folder, work contracts, hospital bills, and papers proving Silas left the escort life long ago. "If Amos wants to play dirty, we'll face him with the truth," Miles said, patting his brother's shoulder. Silas nodded, feeling relief for the first time in days. At a small restaurant by the Charles River, Eloise agreed to meet Silas after his pleading text. Under flickering candlelight, Silas recounted his journey, desperate days in Chicago, working unethical jobs to save his dad, to late nights studying design to start over. "I didn't tell you at first because I was scared," he admitted, holding Eloise's hand. "Scared you'd see me as a failure. But you make me want to be better, Eloise. I love you, and I want to be with you, no matter my past." Eloise looked into his eyes, seeing the sincerity she'd once trusted. "I don't care who you were," she said, voice trembling but firm. "But I need the truth, Silas. No more secrets, okay?" Silas nodded, squeezing her hand. "No more secrets. I promise." They sat in the restaurant's warm glow, as if rebuilding a broken bridge. Meanwhile, Thea returned to her apartment, opening an old box of letters her mom wrote her as a child. One spoke of Eloise's dream, to one day live for herself, not just family. Thea realized she'd been selfish, trying to keep her mom in a safe cage. She texted Sarah, "You were right. I'll make it right." Sarah replied with a heart emoji and, "Good job, kid. Now let your mom love." The autumn wind swept through Boston, carrying cold and hope. Silas, with Miles's support, prepared to face Amos one last time. Eloise, in her gallery, gazed at a vibrant new painting, a symbol of the future she wanted to seize. Thea, for the first time in months, felt light. She knew she had to do right, not just for her mom, but for herself. Challenges lay ahead, but this time, they'd face them together. Night fell over Boston, the Charles River shimmering with city lights reflecting on its surface. The Esplanade, where Silas chose to rewrite his story, was adorned like a vivid autumn painting. Golden string lights lined the paths, red carnations, Eloise's favorite, formed a heart on the grass. A small band, Silas's college friends, stood ready with soft acoustic melodies. Thea and Sarah, unlikely allies, hid behind a large oak, watching Silas adjust everything with rare nervousness. Silas, in a deep blue shirt, stood by a small silk-covered table, a silver ring gleaming in a velvet box. He'd planned this moment for months, but after the storms with Thea and Amos, he wasn't sure Eloise would come. He texted her, voice in the message full of hope, "Meet me at the Esplanade, 8 p.m. Just this once, Eloise." His heart pounded, waiting for a reply he feared might never come. Eloise, in her gallery, stood before a new painting, heart-torn. After talking with Silas, she felt his sincerity, but the sting of secrets lingered. His text glowed on her phone, and she touched the screen, fingers hesitating. Sarah, just entering, saw her friend's indecision. "Go, Eloise," Sarah said, gentle but firm. "You deserve happiness. Don't let the past steal your future." Eloise gave a weak smile, nodded, and drove to the Esplanade, unaware she was stepping into a life-changing moment. At the park, Thea stood by Sarah, her eyes softer than ever. After apologizing to her mom, she'd contacted Silas, offering to help plan this evening. "I don't want Mom to lose the person she loves," she told Sarah, voice small but certain. Sarah patted her shoulder, smiling. "You've grown, kid." As Eloise's car lights appeared at the park entrance, Thea took a deep breath, stepping back to let Silas face this moment alone. Eloise stepped out, her blue dress swaying in the autumn breeze. She was stunned by the scene, twinkling lights, vibrant carnations, and Silas, standing there with eyes full of love. The band began a slow ballad, its melody blending with her heartbeat. "Silas, what's all this?" Eloise asked, voice trembling, not from doubt but emotion. Silas stepped forward, taking her hand, eyes locked on hers. "Eloise, I know I'm not perfect. I made mistakes, hid things you should have known from the start. But every day with you, I learned to be better." He knelt, opening the ring box, its silver glinting under the lights. "I want to spend my life making you smile, painting our best days together. Eloise, will you marry me?" Tears rolled down Eloise's cheeks, but this time they were tears of joy. She looked into Silas's eyes, seeing a future, not flawless, but full of love. "Yes, Silas," she whispered, voice choked. "Yes, you make me happier than ever." Silas slipped the ring on her finger, stood, and embraced her, as the small crowd, Silas's friends, Sarah and Thea, cheered loudly. Thea stepped forward, hugging her mom, eyes shining. "I'm sorry, Mom. I just wanted you happy." Eloise pulled her close, whispering, "I know, sweetheart." Sarah, by the band, raised her glass, laughing. "All right, now let's party." The band shifted to an upbeat tune, and the mood turned lively. Silas's friends brought champagne, and the golden lights mingled with laughter, warming the autumn chill. Thea watched her mom and Silas, feeling truly light for the first time. She realized her mom's happiness wasn't a threat, but something she could learn from. Meanwhile, at a park corner, Miles, Silas's brother, watched from afar. He'd helped Silas deal with Amos, making the man vanish with a warning never to return. Miles smiled, knowing his brother had found his place. Under the Esplanade's lights, Silas and Eloise danced slowly, as if the world held only them. Thea, beside Sarah, sipped champagne, silently vowing not to let doubt overshadow family love again. Boston's autumn night warmed, lights and music blending into a canvas of hope and new beginnings. Silas held Eloise's hand, whispering, "Thank you for trusting me." Eloise smiled, replying, "Thank you for giving me a reason to." In the distance, golden leaves fell softly, witnessing their new chapter. Early morning sunlight slipped through Eloise's Newton home window, casting a soft golden glow on the oak dining table. The smell of fresh toast and brewed coffee filled the air, mingling with birdsong from the garden. Eloise, in a floral apron, set a plate of scrambled eggs on the table, her smile brighter than ever after the stormy days. Silas, in a simple tee, helped set out dishes, his eyes sparkling whenever he looked at her. Thea, across the table, sipped coffee, feeling a rare peace. After the Riverside proposal, the three had found a way past the cracks of the past, and this morning proved a new start. Eloise sat, passing Thea a plate of toast. "Any plans today?" she asked, her voice warm with a mother's curiosity learning to let go. Thea smiled, setting her mug down. "I signed up for a photography course. Always wanted to try, but I was scared I wasn't good enough." She paused, glancing at Silas. "But if Mom can give Silas a chance, I should give myself one too." Silas laughed, raising his hands in mock surrender. "Thanks for the backhanded compliment, Thea." The table filled with laughter, a sound all three cherished after tense days. Eloise shared plans for a small wedding she and Silas were preparing, an outdoor ceremony at Boston Common, with red carnations and their closest loved ones. "Nothing grand," she said, touching the silver ring on her finger. "Just us together." Silas nodded, adding, "And an acoustic band. Can't skip the music." Thea shook her head, feigning a groan. "Mom, I hope you know what you're getting into with this romantic guy." Breakfast passed with simple stories, from Eloise's new gallery exhibit to Miles, Silas's brother, agreeing to be best man. But amid the smiles, Thea felt a deeper lesson. She recalled doubting Silas, sleepless nights fearing her mom's hurt. She'd learned love, between mother and daughter or lovers, couldn't be built on control or fear. "Mom," she said, voice softer, "I promise not to meddle in your happiness anymore. I just want you happy." Eloise took her daughter's hand, eyes shining. "You're my greatest happiness, Thea. But I need to live for myself too. And Silas," she looked at him, smiling, "he's part of that." Silas placed his hand on Eloise's, his eyes saying everything, a wordless vow. Thea nodded, feeling an invisible weight lift. Outside, golden leaves fell gently, a reminder that autumn is a time of change. Silas stood, clearing plates, but not before turning to Thea. "Thanks for giving me a chance, and your mom a reason to smile." Thea shrugged, a playful grin. "Don't mess it up, Silas. I'm still watching you." As sunlight flooded the kitchen, the three shared future plans, Eloise with her exhibit, Silas with a new design project, Thea with her journey of self-discovery. They didn't pretend everything would be perfect, but they knew truth and trust had carried them through dark days. Breakfast ended, and Eloise stood, hugging Thea and Silas, a warm embrace like the autumn sun. They stepped into the yard, where the breeze carried the scent of dry leaves, ready for new days, together. If you were touched by Eloise, Silas, and Thea's journey of love and trust, hit that subscribe button to join our community. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video with more heartfelt stories.